Well, the wind is swirling up top, and you just have to believe that it impacted this because Reagor he's not able to get in position to be able to make a play on this punt return.
This would be one of Jalen Reagor's last plays in the Philadelphia Eagles uniform. But to truly understand his failures as an Eagle, you have to go back to the start. Jalen Reagor is the son of 9-year NFL veteran Monte Reagor, who is also a Super Bowl champion with the Colts. And the athletic genes were definitely passed down to Jalen, as he was an absolute stud in high school. In 2015 at Waxahachie High School, he was first team All-District, which is nothing to sleep on considering he played in Texas, which is highly competitive for high school football. Also in 2017, he participated in the Under Armour All-American game. But he wasn't just good at football, as he was also a track star. While participating in a long jump for track, he got 26 feet, which would have been 10th in the 2016 Olympics. And that is insane for a high school athlete. So it's safe to say he was freakishly athletic, and that would bring many scholarship offers. Coming out of high school, he was a 4-star recruit. He was the 11th wide receiver in his class and the 8th best player in the state of Texas. Reagor would get offers from notable schools such as Alabama, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, and Texas, but would ultimately choose TCU over all of them. He even chose TCU over his father's alma mater of Texas Tech, who also gave him a scholarship offer. As just a true freshman in 2017 for TCU, Jalen Reagor would lead the team in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns. Now, these are good stats for just about anyone, but considering the fact that he was just a true freshman in college and 18 years old, it made it all the more impressive. This season would earn Jalen Reagor Big 12 Offensive Freshman of the Year and second team All Big 12. As impressive as his freshman year was, it wouldn't even compare to his sophomore year, as he would pretty much double every single one of his stats. In 2018, Jalen Reagor would lead his team in pretty much every receiving category. He would have 72 receptions for over 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns. And not only was he effective through the air, he was also effective on the ground, with 13 attempts, 170 yards, and 2 touchdowns. This tremendous season would open the eyes of many scouts across the NFL, and he was becoming a very highly touted prospect. With his performance, he would earn his second team All Big 12. Heading into his junior year, expectations would be sky high, but he wouldn't quite live up to them as his numbers would falter. In his junior year, his numbers would fall as every single one of his receiving statistics would be lower than his previous season. Despite his lack of production, experts were still raving over Reagor's potential. And without a surprise, Reagor would forego his remaining eligibility and enter the 2020 NFL Draft. Reagor would be invited to the 2020 Scouting Combine, where he would put up decent numbers, but nothing that would jump off the screen. And his 4.47 40-yard dash time was disappointing, considering he was supposed to be a speed threat. Nonetheless, he was still very coveted as a prospect and was projected to go in the late first to early second round. Despite being seen as maybe a first-round pick, not a lot of people had him going there, as a lot of people had him falling to the second round, and less people had him going over Justin Jefferson. That's why it surprised a lot of people when this happened.
Philadelphia Eagles select Jalen Reagor, wide receiver, TCU.
This would surprise and even anger some Eagles fans because Justin Jefferson was right there and he was seen as the better prospect by pretty much everybody. This move even surprised the Vikings draft room as they expected Jefferson to be taken by the Eagles.
Jalen Reagor, wide receiver, TCU to the Eagles.
Let's go get him.
Yeah. Hey, Pat.
I'm on it.
Nice. Get Justin Jefferson on the clock right now.
I'm on it.
So it's safe to say the fans weren't the only ones surprised over this move. I mean, just look at their faces. They look like they just got away with robbery. And I mean, they pretty much did. Jalen Reagor's start to his Eagles career did not start ideally, as he suffered a shoulder injury in training camp. But he was able to recover for a Week 1 game against the Washington Commanders, where he had 1 reception for 55 yards. But he would find the injury bug once again a couple weeks later, as he would tear a ligament in his thumb, putting him on IR. He would return in Week 8 of that season against the Dallas Cowboys and score his first career touchdown.
Turned out to win the game. Wentz now throws. That's going to be caught. And does he break the plane? Reagor, yes he does. Touchdown, Philadelphia. So the rookie who's been out
since week 2. Torn thumb ligaments.
Well, things can only get better from here, right? Well, not exactly. Despite competing for targets with guys like Greg Ward and Travis Fulgham, he still really couldn't put up any good numbers. In 11 games played in his rookie season, Jalen Reagor had 31 receptions for 396 yards and just one single touchdown. Now, these numbers aren't good by any means, especially as a wide receiver 1, but just to add salt to the wound, the player that was picked just after him, Justin Jefferson, had 88 receptions for 1,400 yards and 7 touchdowns. He was also a Pro Bowler and All-Pro and was second in Offensive Rookie of the Year voting. So it's safe to say the Eagles were already regretting their decision to draft Jalen Reagor. And Jalen Reagor would have a lot of pressure on his shoulders in year 2 to live up to his first-round selection. And with the selection of Devontae Smith in the first round, maybe it would help open things up for Reagor in the offense. And in week 1 of the 2021 season, it looked as if Reagor had found his footing and was actually going to be a contributor for this team. He had 6 receptions for 49 yards and a touchdown on this play.
Just awful in their recovery. Sanders on the fake. Instead, Reagor has room. Jalen Reagor for 6.
After this game, Jalen Reagor would continue to consistently perform for the entire season, and he would have a great year. Psych! In all actuality, this is about as best as it got for Reagor. And in the Week 12 game versus the Giants, where his team really needed him, this happened.
Hurts looking, stepping away from the pressure, fires to the end zone, and it's incomplete. The Giants will hold on.
Buying time at the quarterback position, giving your receivers a chance to catch the ball, and Reagor has one go through his hand.
What made this all the more frustrating is that in the previous 4 games, he had only had 1 reception in each of them. That play, coinciding with the poor production throughout the season, caused many Eagles fans to be very frustrated with him. And to finish the 2021 season, Jalen Reagor would have very disappointing stats. In 17 games played, Jalen Reagor would have just 33 receptions for 299 yards and 2 touchdowns. Along with that, he had 9.1 yards per reception, which is awful considering he was supposed to be a guy that could create after the catch. Despite his lack of production, the team was still successful, and they made the 2021 wildcard game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Eagles would quickly go down 17-0, and if you saw the beginning of my video, you'll know exactly what happened after this. Jalen Reagor would fumble the ball on a routine punt return, giving the ball right back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers would end up scoring on that drive, going up 24-0 and pretty much cementing the game. So it's safe to say that Eagles fans were pretty livid at Jalen Reagor at this point and wanted him gone. And it began looking as if Eagles fans would get their wish, as in the 2022 offseason, the Eagles signed Zach Pascal, and they would also trade for superstar wide receiver A.J. Brown on draft day. And with the emergence of Quez Watkins in the 2021 season, Jalen Reagor would quickly fall to 5th on the depth chart. And just before the 2022 regular season began, Jalen Reagor would be traded to the Minnesota Vikings, along with a 7th-round pick for a conditional 4th. He would ironically be paired with Justin Jefferson, the player that was drafted just after him in the 2020 NFL Draft. And who knows, maybe a change of scenery would unlock his potential. But that's not what happened. In 17 games for the Minnesota Vikings, Jalen Reagor would have just 8 receptions for 104 yards and 1 touchdown. With this lack of production, it would be tough justifying keeping him in the roster, and he would be waived just before the 2023 regular season. He would quickly be signed to the Patriots practice squad before being signed to the active roster soon after. With the Patriots, he would find himself as a kick returner, where he was actually pretty good, and he scored a touchdown on this play.
Reagor will get the kickoff from Tyler Bass. It's the Pants. It's the Bills. He'll take it from the 2. Reagor up the middle. Blocked by Slater. Gets by the kicker. He's going to go. It's a foot race with Bass. You can kiss him goodbye. Touchdown. 98-yard kickoff return. Reagor and New England
All in all, this wasn't a terrible season for Jalen Reagor, as he would find a place on this Patriots team. Despite still struggling on the receiving end of things, which is 7 receptions on 23 targets for 138 yards and a very poor catch rate. This could be partly due to poor quarterback play, considering his quarterbacks were Bailey Zappi and Mac Jones. Ultimately, he would earn himself a 1-year deal with the Patriots, being re-signed. This is likely due to his special teams abilities. In my opinion, I think Jalen Reagor was put in an unfair situation. I think more of the blame should be on the Eagles front office than him. And while I know he could have played better, it's always going to be difficult being in the shadow of one of the greatest young receivers of our generation. Along with the fact that he was drafted to one of the most critical fan bases in the NFL, it was just a terrible situation from the start. With that, I hope Jalen Reagor the best in his career, and with whatever comes after, I hope he succeeds. Thank you for watching.